Hello and good morning, dear students. Today we are going to learn a very beautiful topic, and this topic is a poem. And the name of the poem is The Squirrel. It is written by Mildred Bowers Armstrong. Before going to peep into the poem, let's pay our attention towards the difficult words or difficult expressions that appear in the poem. The first one is question mark for tail. It means the tail which looks like a question mark. In this poem, there is a squirrel, and when that squirrel sits in an upright position, the tail of the squirrel makes the shape of a question mark, and so that it has been said question mark for tail. The second one is overcoat of grey. It means the squirrel appears as if wearing a grey coat. All of you know that the color of the skin of the squirrel is grey, so that the poet says that the squirrel appears as if he is wearing a grey coat. So, overcoat of grey. The third one is tease, that is to make fun of. Some students were teasing their friends. So, you love to tease, you love to make fun of your friends also love to make your fun, your friends also love to tease you. Here, the squirrel teases, the squirrel banters in a funny way. The key points in the poem, the first one is there, the squirrel is sitting on a tree eating nuts. The second one is to poet, it appears very amusing and naughty. The third point is poet feels that its tail is like a question mark and its body is covered with grey coat. The last but not the least point is it is very naughty and likes to tease. Now, here there is the paraphrase of the poem or the interpretation or meaning of the poem. In the poem The Squirrel, the poet Mildred Bowers Armstrong describes a squirrel that she observes in her garden. The poet, along with her friends, is sitting and enjoying in the garden, and at that time she happens she happens to see a squirrel. The poet describes how the squirrel, covered in grey fur, sits in an upright position on the branch of a tree eating a nut. The poet sees, the poet observes, the poet watches that there was a squirrel, and that squirrel was sitting on the branch of a tree, and that squirrel was eating a nut. His tail looks like a question mark because of its bent shape, and the tail of the squirrel bears resemblance with a question mark. It looks like a question mark. The happy and lively squirrel loves to play with the poet. The squirrel also responds happily, lively, positively to the gestures, to the happiness of the poet and her friends. When she ran around his tree, he ran to the other side of the tree. This she is for the poet, and this his or this he is for the squirrel. When the poet ran around the tree on which that squirrel was there, he ran to the other side of the tree, he ran to the other direction of the tree so that he would not be caught by the poet. The poet tells us about the nature of the squirrel, that it is innocently naughty and likes to tease anyone who comes near him. The poet very happily explains here, the poet very happily describes here the nature of the squirrel. And the nature of the squirrel is innocent. and naughty, but that naughtiness is coupled with innocence. And that squirrel likes to tease anyone who comes near him. So you can see here in this picture, here there is the tail of the squirrel, and that tail looks like the shape of a question mark. And here you can see the squirrel is eating this nut, and here there are plenty of nuts that are there on the tree. So pay attention to the poem The Squirrel. Very short but meaningful and very amusing one. He wore a question mark for tail. As I already told you, this he is for the squirrel. The squirrel makes the shape of a question mark of his tail. An overcoat of grey, and the squirrel, the skin of the squirrel is of grey color. So the poet uses this expression, an overcoat of grey. He sat up straight to eat a nut. So we just saw in this picture that the squirrel sat up straight to eat nuts. He liked to tease and play. So the squirrel loves teasing the people or the other squirrels or even maybe the other animals. And his teasing, his making fun is an amusing way of its expression. It loves to play. It jumps. It runs from one branch to another. And if we ran around his tree, he went the other way. So if we try to run behind that squirrel or to run behind any squirrel that we see, that we come across, then what will happen? Do you think that the squirrel will remain there itself? No, that squirrel will run to other direction. Here also the same thing happened. The squirrel went the other way and the poet was not able to catch it. Here there are the picture, here there is the picture of types of nuts. Nuts, it means hard shelled seeds, for example peanuts, walnuts and cashew nuts. So now we come to the fag end of the poem, towards the recapitulation, working with the poem. The first question is, why does the poet say the squirrel wore a question mark for a tail? Draw a squirrel or find a picture of a squirrel sitting on the ground. How would you describe its tail? So you have to answer the question why the poet says that the squirrel wore a question mark for its tail, and you also have to draw the picture of a squirrel. Secondly, do we usually say that an animal wears a tail? What do we say? Think, does an animal wear a coat? Consult a dictionary if you like and find out how wear is used in different ways. So the word wear has different shapes, the word wear has different shades and meanings. Here you have to see, here you have to look up a good dictionary and you have to try to find out the meaning of the word wear, and in what sense that word has been used here you have to explain. The last but not the least question is, he liked to tease and play. Who is teasing here and whom? So that he, as I have already explained to you, is for the squirrel. The squirrel like to tease and play. So who is teasing and to whom? This question you have to answer. Then some short questions are there for you. Who is sitting on the tree and what is it doing? This is the first question. The second is, what does it do when we go around? The third one is, how does the poet describe the squirrel? The fourth question is, do you like poet's description of the squirrel? Then the last question is, what are the qualities of a squirrel that you learn in the poem? The qualities, it means the nature of the squirrel, you have to explain here for the last question. Thank you very much. And here there is the link, web link, that may help you to know the topic better. So hope you understood the topic. Thank you very much, and may the Almighty God bless all of you.